This is my presentation for achieving complete market share at Maxim Healthcare for my anchor accounts. An anchor account is a client that you are billing more than 5,000. So 5,000 is the limit essentially to be considered an anchor account. And then achieving complete market share would be getting all of the positions that school districts are offering to agencies. So for example, if they have 20 sped teachers that they are looking to staff, and they are looking to agencies to get those 20 positions, giving us all 20 would be 100% market share for that district if that was the only modality they were billing. So that is the goal, is to, like I said, have complete market share for those anchor accounts. And in order to get complete market share, we definitely would have to have the competitive advantage. So the first step in this plan would be to achieve the competitive advantage, which is outperforming our competitors. And the way to do that is definitely with rates. The biggest pushback from clients to get to this spot would be rates. So getting those greater margins will add value to the customer and the stakeholders involved. And this will be done by ensuring that the rates offered to the clients are all inclusive and that the client understands that they are all inclusive. So what that all inclusive means would be that our benefits are included in there, our malpractice insurance, sick time, things like that. So even though our rate might be higher than a competitor, it being all inclusive and having all of those aspects is actually saving the client money, but increasing our profits by having that higher margin. And so, like I said, not only being able to deliver that all-inclusive rate to the client, but them understanding that the reason it's higher is because it is all-inclusive. So explaining that to the client, once they agree to that rate and understand that the reason our rate might be higher is because of that, then it would be getting Maxim's, my organization, on board. So that would mean making sure that finance, human resources, and marketing are all on the same page, that they all agree, that they all understand, that they know what the rate is, what is included in it. And then during that process of making sure that Maxima is on board, communication between departments, so between the finance, human resources, and marketing that I mentioned, they definitely need to come from multiple platforms. So emails, calls, newsletters, etc. It should be easy communication-wise during this process and over-communicated. I also would make an effort to limit team meetings while every department is working on their aspect of the rates and of the plan. I want to make sure that like every meeting we have is important and not just a time filler. I think that a lot of the times there's so many meetings that can be condensed into one, or that don't end up being super productive. And just for time's sake and productivity, I want to make sure that those types of meetings are limited. If it's a quick update, it can be, sent on an email, things like that. And then I also will have my recruiters involved throughout the process so that they can get a deeper understanding of how the rate side and business development side of it works. Obviously finance, human resources, those departments are already aware of that because this is their day-to-day tasks, but the recruiters typically wouldn't be involved in this process. So for this plan, I would want them to be involved so that they at least understand how it happens, why it happens, kind of what happens behind the scenes that they wouldn't always see. And then once the plan is implemented and hopefully successful, they'll have a deeper understanding and almost appreciation since they were along for the journey of it. I also want to make sure that tasks are communicated super clearly to each department. And I want to emphasize daily tasks. I think sometimes having a goal that's too big or a task that's too big can get, the vision can get lost. So having daily tasks and weekly tasks for each department will essentially get us to the big goal quicker and more efficiently. So once Maxim side is on board, obviously the client side would have already been on board. Now getting Maxim on side, every department working well together, it would be communicating this to the team. So obviously the departments at Maxim are the ones putting it all together so that it works. Once that's done, it needs to be communicated to every other department, to other managers, to field support, to payroll. There are other departments that wouldn't necessarily be involved in the making of it, but definitely need to be, aware of the plan. So a mix between formal and informal communication channels will be used when communicating this to other stakeholders, other departments. I definitely want to use some existing channels because I think it'll be more familiar and easier to understand rather than implementing all new communication channels. So some existing ones, again, it'll make them more comfortable. It'll make it more them welcome to the change if there's any hesitancy. And then we currently use email, Skype Messenger, virtual meetings, and CEO briefing already. I'll continue to use the CEO briefing just because I think it's definitely important for people to know that the higher ups are aware of it. And then I will definitely try to decrease the amount of Skype messages and IMs because it's hard to track. They can get lost easy. You think you remember an instant message and then it goes away. So I want to limit the amount of instant messages. And then I definitely want to add in posters advertising the new change, put in the kitchen, put in the conference room, just so that it's, another way for information and details about the plan to be seen by other team members. Once the communication aspect of it is done, it's definitely important to be able to evaluate the plan to see if the goal of achieving that market share is complete. So first step, the client approved, then Maxim working together to make sure each department is on the same page, then communicating that out to the rest of the team, and then evaluating it, like I said, to make sure we get that market share. So in order to evaluate it, 4 questions have to be asked to the clients on a weekly basis. These are how many contractors do you currently have working? How many agencies do you use? How many openings do you have? And how many openings are you trying to fill by agency? Once those questions are answered, we'll put the data into graphs, into visuals, to be able to just to see it better. And, for example, if there's 20 sped teacher openings that they're trying to fill by agency and they give us 10 of those openings, we know we have 50% market share. That percent will be documented and recorded over time because even if it's not going to be done overnight. So to start, maybe we have 50% market share, and then the next week we're at 60 and 65 and 70. It'll definitely be something that's tracked over time and not, yes, the goal is met or no, the goal is not met. Hopefully we're on track to meet the goal, at a later date. Once that evaluation step is done, it'll just be continuing to monitor, make changes here and there. But that would be the steps to achieve full market share for my anchor accounts.